Hello, and welcome to the sixth and final bonus episode of Chorus Place. I'm so glad you've chosen to join me for today's conversation. In today's episode, I'll be talking about the friends I made at camp, the encouraging or fun moments there, and lessons that God taught me throughout my summer working at camp. As always, if you like what you hear, please leave a review and/or comments, follow my podcast, and tell your friends. Also, please follow the podcast page I've made on Facebook. If you would like to contact me via email instead of a Facebook message, you can email me at corachan@mailbox.org. If you are new here, welcome. I'm your host, Cora, and I'm so excited to have you on this journey with me. Today is the very last episode of the camp series. We start back up with the originally planned episodes and a new series next week. I can't believe how fast this camp series went by, even when I missed a couple of weeks of posting an episode. I apologize for that. Things had gotten a bit crazy right around and right after the time Camp Episode 4 came out. I feel like we just started doing the camp series, and now it's going to be over after this episode already. That is so crazy how fast time went. I have really enjoyed doing this series for you all and telling you some of the stories from my summer. It has been fun. I'm so glad I get to do this podcast to share stories like these with all of you. In this episode, I want to talk about the friends I made at camp, the encouraging or fun moments there, and the lessons God taught me while working there. First up on the topic list for today is talking about the friends I made at camp. I made many new friends and also got reacquainted with several people there. Some of the people I have been able to stay in contact with a little since coming home in August, but I don't have contact information for everyone though. It was a good experience to make friends, and also a good reminder that I won't necessarily get along with every single person in my life, or with every single person in a group of people. I definitely faced both situations this summer, 2023. I think that is pretty normal in any group though, where you'll be closer to some than you would be with others. It happens, and it's okay. You don't have to be friends with everyone. You can still be friendly or nice to everyone without being friends with some people, if that makes sense. I guess what I mean by that is, you can still be friends or acquaintances with them and be nice to them without them being your best friend. It is hard when someone doesn't want to be friends and you want to be friends, but maybe you will eventually form a friendship with them in the future. You just have to be patient and pray about it. That is definitely something I need to remember to do in my own life whenever friendships are hard. Another thing is that just because you are friends with someone now, it does not mean you will be friends with them for the rest of your life. I know I have probably talked about this in a couple of previous episodes, but sometimes people will only be friends with you for a little while. It can hurt when the friendship ends, especially when something happens that makes the people involved in the friendship drift apart, or when the friendship is super close or tight-knit, and then suddenly crumbles or drifts. I've had that happen before, and it hurts. It definitely isn't fun when that happens, but God is still your friend and will always be your friend, even when earthly friendships are crumbling or drifting. That is a reminder I need regularly in my own life, especially when things are hard. There are also people you will be closer to than others in your life. Next up on the topic list for today's episode is talking about the encouraging or fun moments that happened throughout the summer. There were a few encouraging and fun moments over the summer that happened. One of the first ones that comes to mind would be when I briefly talked to the head of staff girls about my great-grandma passing away that I mentioned in episode 4 of this series. After we talked, she gave me a hug, and that was really sweet and meaningful to me. I definitely needed and appreciated that so much. Having people to talk to when going through something like that is super important, and I'm so thankful I had that, even though I wasn't with my family at that time. Another fun memory that comes to mind was the couple of times I received mail. Throughout the summer, I got a card from my family who lives out in Montana, a super soft blanket from the pastor and his wife from my old church, who are also kind of like my adopted grandparents, a postcard from my dad, who had been out of town for a work trip, and also a belated birthday card from my other grandma. I loved each time I got mail. It was super sweet and made me smile a lot. I sent a couple of letters and cards to people, but I didn't send as many as I would have liked. As far as other encouraging or fun moments, I think I would also have to say any times of intense and uncontrollable, but in a good way, laughing with my friends, any sweet messages I received from friends, seeing my grandparents and hanging out with them the second time I came home over the summer, and also the same week as the funeral of my great grandma, blasting music and singing at the top of our lungs with friends while driving to places, going to the river to watch the sunset, going to church and seeing some familiar people, getting to sleep in some on weekends, and when one of my new friends brought me back one of my favorite drinks from Dunkin' Donuts as a surprise one day. That was unexpected, but so sweet, and definitely made me smile. There were probably also other encouraging and fun times, but those are some that come to mind at the current moment. The final thing I want to talk about today is the lessons that God taught me, or things that I learned over the summer. God taught me how to rely on Him for strength when I am exhausted physically, emotionally, or mentally, that He gives comfort when we are sad, that He is always with me, even when I face new situations. Since it was my first year working at camp, and my first time being away from my family for longer than just a week at a time, that He provides me with friends or anything else I need, that He protects His people, that I need to rely on Him for security when everything around me is new or scary, that He will guide me, He knows what I need, He knows when I need it, and that I can trust Him to get me through hard times. Something else that I learned is that there will sometimes be people that I don't always get along with. I had that happen at least once over the summer. There were definitely some people that I got along with better than others while I worked there. I think that is pretty common wherever you go, though. It's not easy, but it does happen, and that's okay. Some of the different things I learned over the summer were things like how to clean the bathrooms and sanitize them, how to sanitize the mattresses in the cabins, serving ice cream in the canteen, running the point of sale system, restocking different things, whether paper products in the bathroom or stuff in the canteen and camp store, clean windows, sweeping, mopping, and that kind of thing. Some of the things I just listed I had done before at home, like sweeping or restocking toilet paper, etc., but I learned a different way of doing them at the camp. It was different there because the toilet paper holders aren't the same as at home. Sometimes we had to sweep rugs at the camp, so we had to sweep the rugs a little differently than we would the floors. Usually the windows were pretty simple when they didn't have multiple parts, meaning a separate part that opens in between in the building and the window screen, or when they weren't super tall. We didn't really ever do the outside part of the chapel windows or the dining hall windows, though. I think we only did the inside parts. Even when they did have multiple parts, they went fine. We usually had several girls working on them all at once, so then each person usually only had to do one or two. It wasn't every day we had to do the dining hall windows, though. I think it was maybe just twice a week that we did them. We used paper towels and glass cleaner to clean them. It was a little tricky to do the top part of the windows in the dining hall since they were kind of tall. We would normally have to stand on a chair to reach the top part. Cleaning the canteen bathroom was pretty simple because all we had to do was clean the sink and toilet, sweep, sometimes mop, and also restock and take out trash. The canteen bathroom doesn't have a mirror, so we didn't have to worry about that. The canteen had cleaning supplies in there already, so I usually only had to take a roll of paper towels with me from the staff building since it already had everything else already in a bin in the canteen usually. Since the canteen was usually locked when we didn't have campers or when they weren't in the middle of working, I also had to grab the key from the office/staff building so I could get in to get everything I needed to clean the bathroom. Cleaning was usually pretty simple, but sometimes it still took a little bit. In the mornings, when we were done in the dining hall, we got started on other cleaning tasks, like the office, staff lounge, restocking cabins of things like paper products, soap, or trash bags, cleaning the bathroom upstairs where the staff slept, sweeping sidewalks, dusting, etc. In the time between personal devotions and camper lunch, we were usually pretty busy because we would do devotions, have staff breakfast, clean the tables and chairs we used, have camper breakfast, clean the tables and chairs again, do our morning chores, mostly just various cleaning restocking tasks, have staff lunch, clean the tables and chairs we used, have camper lunch, and then clean up from that. As far as afternoons, it would vary how busy they were. Sometimes those were busy, but I feel like they weren't usually too bad. I think it also was based on how many campers we had too. Sometimes people had to run the canteen in the afternoon, and most of the other staff could just relax if we didn't have any particular tasks in the afternoons. Sometimes we would wait to do the dining hall windows until after camper lunch on the days we did those windows. Hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please follow, leave a comment and a review of my podcast if you haven't already, and please follow my podcast page on Facebook so you never miss an update. If you have any verses you'd like me to read on a future episode, or if you have any topics you'd like me to talk about, you can email me at corachin@mailbox.org, send me a message on my podcast page on Facebook, or send me a message through the link in the show notes, and I will get back to you when I can. Hope you tune in next week for a new series and the return of the originally planned episodes, starting back up with episode 11.